Good afternoon. We are back for one more show of the neighborhood news. We are pretty much the end of the year, beginning of a new year. Yep. And with me, I have John. Thank you for coming.
Sounds good.
It's been a year, huh?
Yeah, another year, 2018. Hey.
We don't know what the next year is going to be, but we can just imagine.
Yeah, hopefully I think it's going to be a good year.
Yeah.
I honestly think it's going to be a good year.
So today we have no agenda, so it's just like when politics go back to session. They start with no agenda like us, and then they start fighting at the end of the meeting.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I agree.
So what are we going to talk about today, John?
I don't know.
I don't know if you want to talk local, if you want to talk, if you want to go to Florida at this point. The president is playing golf. Which he said that he was not going to take vacations ever being in office, but that's okay. That's another.
I mean, his vacations are working vacations. You got to admit it. His vacations are normally working vacations.
Somebody told me that no president ever had so many people following him on vacation.
Oh, really?
All this crew, his team, it's there.
Yeah.
That's not the worst part. The worst part is everybody's renting on his hotel. So he must have a nice. He double charge.
No, I don't think he's double charging. I don't know. I mean, if that's where the president wants to go, they go. I mean, the Kennedys went to their compound on the Cape.
With all that staff.
Yeah, but, it's not. I mean, he goes to a hotel or a resort. I mean, they went to their own homes and they brought their, their folks with them. They entertained politicians and heads of state, I'm sure, there. So I don't think that there's much of a difference, to be honest with you. It's just a different venue. That's all.
It's I'm pulling your leg because I know that you voted for him, and independent who people vote for. I mean, everybody has their own agenda. Just like all the other presidents before had their own agendas. He has his own agenda, and that's his right. People elect him president. So guess what? Everything that he's doing is because people allowed him to do. And the majority, not the majority of the votes, but how he got elected. But still, he's a president. And guess what? We need just either get on boards or jump off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at the economy when Clinton was in, right? When all the stuff that was happening with Clinton where they were going to impeach him, remember, because the whole thing that was going on there, and a lot of people really didn't care because at that time the economy was doing very well. Now the economy is doing very well, and we still have that, but I think the media was not like how it was in the past. And we were discussing this before the show. I was watching CNN briefly last night, and on one of the shows, they were talking about the president. Now, every skit or everything was the president. There's got to be more things going on in this world besides the president, the investigation, him on vacation, him not exercising. They had like a 15-minute thing on the president not exercising. He's unhealthy. I can't imagine. I don't remember that ever happening. Yeah, he drinks too much soda. He has too much fast food. Never do I remember that saying that. Then somebody had brought up something to the effect that, he, other than his base, nobody's that stupid to believe the things that he says or the things that are happening. So there's a decent amount of people that voted for him. I think that's very insulting to say that. It kind of brings back to with Hillary Clinton, how she said there's a basket of deplorables. I mean, you don't know, folks. Everybody has different understandings, different feelings about things as how they've come about with things.
I was watching a show this week, and it was not CNN, and it was not Fox.
MSNBC.
And they went to two states that vote for him.
Yeah.
And they were in contact with people that vote for him. and they kind of went back a year after, and they asked them what they think about and everything. And some of them was still supporting him, but some of them were not supporting him.
Yeah. What was the reason why?
I mean, about everything. I mean, I remember one said that that he has an open mind, and he gave him a vote because he was talking and he was listening to everything that he wanted, and all the changes and everything. But one thing that he says that kind of upsets him now is the fact that everything he is trying to undo everything that the Obama did, and he said some things he did good, some things he did bad. So I was hoping for him to change the bad things that he did, not the good things that he did. But sounds like that is Obama has Obama's name on, has to go, has to be changed.
I don't know if that's necessarily. Yeah, I mean everybody's perception is different, but like let's take a few things for example. The whole climate change thing, right? That was a big deal that we pulled out of the Paris Accord. All right, so basically, and this is something that you never hear on the media, but climate change is the gases that go into, the atmosphere, right? The pollution. Now, do we ever talk about the population growth on the environment? So we have China and we have India that have 1/3 of the world's population. They both have 1.5 billion people. So having so many people, doesn't that have an effect on the environment? Yes, but you very rarely talk about that in the media. It's the gases, we got to stop driving cars. I would think that we're getting close to 7 billion people on this planet. That has a serious effect as to pollution, pulling fish out of the ocean. You're taking all these resources and they don't have enough time to go back and repopulate. So that, to me, that has a bigger effect. Now, as far as the climate change, the biggest polluters in the world are China, India, and there's one other country, but those two countries right there with 1/3 of the world's population didn't have to do anything to change their gases going in, their pollution, nothing. The U.S. had to take steps to go further and further. So if I'm say you're my neighbor, right? You live next door to me. You keep your place great. I have 40 people living in there and we're throwing trash and we're peeing and everything else in that yard. Do you think isn't that gonna affect you someday? That's gonna leach back into you? We're smelling the air from over there. China, we see on the news that they have to wear masks half the time because of the pollution. So I just looked at it a realistic, us going back and the Western countries going back and doing this little. They're 1/3 of the population. How is that affecting the climate after all? You know what I mean? How is that affecting that? So I think there's a lot put out there to say this is what's really happening in the world, but they're not actually. Let's face it, right? I have an opinion, you have an opinion. I'm going to sway people toward my opinion, right? Because this is what I believe in. And, do you kind of push it toward what you think? Yes. And other folks will do the same thing. I think it'd be something that is trying to be taught in schools, critical thinking. Look at both sides. I watch CNN. I've pushed away from it, but I used to watch it a lot. But I watch CNN, I watch Fox, but I get a lot of news from Twitter, from overseas. A lot of their newspapers, a lot of people that live there that see things on the ground. That's where I get a lot of the news from. You're not going to hear it here.
Let me ask you this. I mean, it's now we know that some states Republican lost houses and everything. You think that has anything to do with some actions of the president?
I mean, who's lost? Moore lost, right? That guy Moore. Now, the timing could be suspicious to some people, and that's what they say, right?
You think it's more to do with the candidate himself?
I think he lost because of the candidate, but on the other hand, I don't know much about Ray Moore, but I know that what happened was all these things he did were like from 40, 50 years ago, and maybe 3 months before the election, all this stuff comes out. And it's just played on the media nonstop. And then we had the lady, one of them that accused him, that said she didn't do anything to the inscription on her yearbook, but then later on said she edited something. So if you lie to me one time and say you never did it and then you came back, you know what I mean, you lose a little bit of credibility. So like I said, I'm not defending anything about this guy. I just think that he was a flawed candidate. And I don't think not everybody wanted that guy. Other people wanted, another person. But if you look at it, look how much, he didn't win by much. It was very, very tight. This flawed candidate that they threw all this stuff out at him, very, very tight. So I just think that, and then there are people talking about people coming in to vote, setting up residency there. So I don't think much has, I don't think, if anything, I think he probably would help candidates at this point. Look at it this way, Carlos. GDP growth has been over 3%. The 8 years, since that Great Recession, haven't reached that. Housing is the highest it's been in 17 or 18 years. Consumer confidence is the highest it's been in 17 or 18 years. They were saying that this Christmas, I was hearing on the way over here, that this is the highest sales growth that they've had in like recent memory. What else is? Yeah, I mean, there's so many different positive things with the economy. Now, what you'll hear is, I hear this a lot, is that, well, it's in cycles, which I do agree it's in cycles, but and it's the past administration's doing. Well, if that was the case, why didn't GDP growth grow the last 4 years of the last administration? Why didn't that happen? They barely made 1% and 2% growth. I think what happened is that people are confident, businesses are confident that this president's going to move things to help businesses more than put, regulations on them, and that spurred a lot of this. I mean, because let's face it, right? When the president got elected during the not the inauguration, but as soon as he got elected, the next day people were saying the stock market's going to crash. This is going to be a disaster. And look, it's been going up. That's the other thing I had felt. It's an all-time high. Now, if this is from the past president, shouldn't it have, decreased because they don't like what this president's doing? People have some confidence that things are going that way. So, just my opinion again. I mean,
and again, I have always a hard time when numbers are just thrown at me with no proof.
Yeah.
I really don't think that we still enough into his work to really see that much change. I don't think that in 1 year you can go from here to here. I mean, that's going to grow, and probably by the time that he finishes term, he really can look back and say, that's when I came in, that's where I am right now. But getting into he's just celebrating next week.
1 year.
It's 1 year. And he's already shown me that he's always up here.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
No, it's growing. Yeah, I can agree with you. It's growing.
Yeah.
But I don't think that those numbers that you're showing me are really the real numbers.
Yeah. Well, I agree. Of course, when you're in, you're going to make everything seem great. They do that in local politics, right? I mean, you've seen that here over the last 20 years, that one or two things are done during the administration, and it's like the whole city's been saved, where, like a Wellesley now.
And another thing is, look how much time takes him to do something. Every time that we talk about that, oh, everything is going, I got all the votes, I got everything approved, oh, it's great, everybody. And then that date changes again. So he talked like now to change this Obamacare. Took him the whole year, but since January, that he's been saying to people every time that people ask them, "Oh, I got the votes. Oh, it's great. Everything is great. Everything is fine." When we know that it's not. So that's the part that I say. We know that you're having problems getting your own party to agree with you. So let's say the way it is. We're having problems. We have people that on our own party that's not working with me, but we are working on it, and it probably is going to take a long time. But no, everything is approved. Everything is approved, but it takes 1 year to vote on it.
Yeah. But look at Obamacare didn't go right. I mean, the Affordable Care Act didn't go through right away, and that was only supported by the Democrats. So it took him a few years to get that into play. Health care is not an easy thing because you know what? A lot of people like the Affordable Care Act because it helps them. But there are people that are out in the Midwest and the West that are having real troubles with this, where they don't have any health care plans that'll accept them anymore, and when they do, they're paying thousands of dollars. So it's not working for everybody. But if it's working for you, you love it, right? And if I told you my sob story that it's costing me $2,000 a month, you're going to be, oh, that's too bad, but it works for me.
So now when people going to do the income taxes again, you don't have to have insurance.
Yeah.
So because for the past 4 years, if you don't have insurance, you pay a penalty of $250. You need to have insurance.
Yeah.
Now we're going back with no insurance. You don't need to have insurance, or you will not pay penalty for not having insurance. My question is, when you don't have insurance and you have an emergency and you go to the emergency room, okay, who's paying for that bill?
Well, if you look at it this way, Carlos, right? And I don't know what the fee was, but if you don't have insurance under the last administration, you pay $250. So do you really think that that's making a big difference? I'm sure they'll just pay. It's easy to pay the $250 and go, hey, I'll have no insurance, I'll take my chances. That $250 is not really that much of a deciding factor to say, hey, look, I'm going to get insurance because of that $250 thing. I think everybody should have insurance. The problem is, can they afford it?
A lot of people got a free insurance.
Well, I agree. Yeah, they have free insurance, but who's paying for that? Nothing's free. The rest of the taxpayers are paying for that. So I agree. I mean, I don't know. I just look at it like, look at the senior citizens, for example. Do you know, and a lot of people don't realize this until they retire, but you have Medicare. Everybody has Medicare because we're paying into Medicare. Medicare only covers 80% of the medical bills, okay? But before they even cover the 80%, there's a $1,000 deductible each year. So you have to pay that $1,000, and then you get 80% of your coverage. So do you think someone that's a senior that's getting, say, $1,500 a month or $1,000 a month, all they can afford is Medicare? Who's paying for that 20%? Who's paying for that other 20%? We are. Unless they can afford a supplemental, and those are $200 or $300. So we're looking at someone that gets $1,000 a month or $1,500 a month, they have to pay $200 to $300 for a medical plan on top of what they have. They got to pay their rent, food, everything else. So our healthcare system is not perfect by any means right now. There are some people, like I told you earlier, they're benefiting from it because they're getting free coverage. But there are a lot of people, like senior citizens, that are not getting, that do not have that luxury. You know, if you make $1,200, $1,500 a month, you don't have it. I know a few people that can't afford the supplementals, and they were in the hospital. They have $200,000 bills. They're 80 years old. $200,000 bills because they had to go in the hospital because Medicare only paid for 80%, and they can't pay for the rest. So who's going to pay for that? There's no way this individual is going to be able to pay that. We're going to pay that. So there's got to be a plan that comes up that helps everybody.
So
you know? And I don't think the last one did. I don't think the Affordable Care Act addressed everything.
Next year, he's going to have big bills on its table that he's going to have a hard time with. I think anything that he could get it for free to pass already passed. Now, the second year, he's going to have to negotiate. And that's what he's told during campaign, that he's the best negotiator in America. Now, he's going to have to negotiate with DACA. Which he said.
Wait a minute, but which was illegal? That was illegal to do that. The president even admitted that was illegal. That was not legal to do that. So now we're dealing with something that someone did that was an attorney that was illegal and admitted it. So it was illegal.
But now,
and now the new administration has to deal with something that they did illegally before.
But the only way he's going to have to deal with now, and fix it, is compromising.
Okay.
And it's inside his party.
Yep.
That's his party asking for compromising.
His party, but you know what? I think his party, and I think even, there are a lot of Democrats that agree that, you know what, every time we've had the immigration issue. I remember in the mid-'80s, I was younger, but I remember that going on, that, you know what, we had all of these immigrants that came in. They were undocumented. Back then, they were called illegal, but now it's undocumented. They were undocumented back then. And you know what they did under Reagan? Said, we're going to make everybody that came here legally, you can become a citizen now. But they did nothing to tackle the immigration, border security. Nothing was done. So now, what are we going to do what we did back in 1985 and give amnesty to everybody that came here? So what does that tell people that live in other countries that waited in line, okay? You went to the embassy, you waited 8 years to get your family here, and then someone else just came in and said, I've been here 20 years, you got to do something with me.
But DACA is not amnesty. DACA is for
It'll eventually become
illegal people that bought the kids when they were small, that they had no choice. They came with the parents, and now they need to have legal status to be able to go to college and be in school. That's what DACA pretty much it is. It's not giving the parents the papers to become citizens.
They're going to eventually be able to become citizens. That will be part of this whole situation. They'll be able to, and even if they're not citizens, Carlos, they're still here. They can still be here legally. So that sets a precedence to anybody that's anywhere else. Just come here, and you know what I mean. That's.
But again, if you could cut that off, he had. That was his wish this year, and you could not get it off.
I think the president and anybody looks at that. Anybody that's been here for 20 years, that have become they become American really. Nobody wants to send anybody back. You know what I mean? They've been here for all that time. But if we go back maybe 20 years, I remember this happening here in Bristol County, where there were folks that had been here since they were 2 or 3 years old, never became citizens, and what happened was they got into trouble with crime and drugs, and what happened to them? They were shipped to the Bristol County Sheriff's Office, and where did they go from there? Back to Portugal. You know what I mean? That's what they did back then.
And they're still happening until today.
Yeah, it's still, but not on
today.
It's not, back then there was not really a lot of sympathy, if you look at it. Where now things have changed, there's more sympathy, and I agree. People have been here, they're American, you're tearing them away, but fine. Do what we're going to do now with the folks, but there's got to be some kind of solution to say, these are what the rules are. You know, we want to start bringing people in on merit. Canada does it. Canada is a very liberal country, but they have a merit system. Australia has a merit system. New Zealand has a merit system. A lot of countries in Europe do. Why can't we do the same thing? You can't continuously, if you look at this whole mass immigration that's happened, who has it hurt? It's hurt people that are at the lower ring or the lower level of society, people that work, you know, in janitorial things and low-level fast food, all these things. That's hurt them. It's depressed wages because you have supply and demand. You got all these people coming in, and it's like, hey, I don't have to hire Carlos. I got 30 other people there. I can hire him at $10 an hour or a minimum wage. So that's really hurt Americans that are here.
I think it's a complicated issue because, again, it's like if you build, they will come. Yeah. So if you have the jobs, they will come. Yeah. It's the same. They will find a way to come.
But has it helped? Has it helped the people that have come here? Has it helped the people that have been here that their wages have been depressed? Everybody's here. You hear it on the news. Wages have not grown in the last 7 years, 8 years. Wages have not grown. So it's the whole supply and demand. You got more people, less jobs. They can pay you whatever they want to pay you. So I don't know. They have to look at that.
Now, I mean, the problem is becoming now. It's not the problem you being working illegal, because we have cases, and I know cases they were working illegal, but they got hurt, and they sue. Yeah. And guess what? They win. Yeah. Doesn't matter if you're legal or illegal. You were doing the work. You got injured.
Okay, but isn't that funny? I wonder if I went to Portugal or Spain and I lived there for 20 years and I was not a citizen, what would happen to me over there? I bet I'd be deported, right?
I don't know. I came with 21 from there. One thing I know, it's to do with insurance. Yeah. That I know, and that's still the same. Yeah. If you go there and visit, and you injure yourself and you need to go and see a doctor, you won't be charged.
Yeah.
They have this.
But that's not all for all countries, though. In Europe, I don't believe that's-
Portugal, I think that has to do with the
EU?
European Union.
Yeah.
I think that has to do because that's the same money now from all those countries like France and Italy. They all use euros, so they all became under the same umbrella. But I know that was one the case. But the truth to say is that he's going to have what he said during the campaign. They illegal. They need to go back. Every single one's going back.
I don't. That's not always been the case. I have not heard that. And if you've heard him in conversations, he said he
debates.
He feels
even in debates he said.
But he feels
that's what he feels. Like.
Yeah, but if you listen
you're illegal. You go back.
That's not. I mean, for criminals, yes, I've heard that for criminals, and I think most people can agree to that.
That's been in the books forever.
I think
the problem is that our system, it's so broke that we deport them after a crime, and the next month they're back again.
Well,
but that's not their fault. That's our fault. Because we don't have a system.
We don't have a system, but if you're breaking into a country again, it's not their fault.
But again,
no, wait a minute, hold on.
Why they here? Because we're not doing a good job and stopping them.
Hold on a minute. I agree with you to a point. However, if I break into your house, right, and you have no alarm system, and I leave, and then I come back the next day, and I break into your house again, well, you have no alarm system, it's your fault? Is that what we're saying?
Why? It's my house.
Yeah.
Do I have to put alarm because you keep breaking into my house?
Well, you
no, you should not come into my house.
Well, that's why exactly what I'm saying. You're saying people that come in twice, it's our fault because we didn't stop it. You're saying that people came in, we deport them, they come back, it's our fault.
That's the same way I'm explaining, right?
No, all right. So if I break into your house, all right. And then 2 days later, I come and break into your house again, but you didn't do anything to change anything. It's your fault, not mine. That's what you were just saying to me.
Exactly. It's my fault because I didn't put it, but I don't have to. I shouldn't have to.
Well, we shouldn't have to put some kind of border or something to have this person come back over again, right?
Hey, but then we all both gonna complain.
No, well, see what I'm saying?
We both don't have a solution for the problem.
No, I have a solution for it. I believe, yes, the whole DACA thing, let the folks that are here stay. I know a lot of people won't agree with that, but let them stay. However, we have to
just because we're talking about students.
Yeah, with this students or anybody, all right, you're here, this is it. If you're not a criminal, you go back, you stay. However, we have to have, with this, you staying has to be, the immigration thing is totally turned around, and we have to have more border security. And if that doesn't pass, then we're not serious about it then. We're not serious because what will happen is in 25 years, we'll have the same situation we had back in 1985.
But let me tell you this, it's not that tall wall that's going to stop them from coming.
Well, if you look
we need to have a better system at airport.
Look at
because they come legal.
Oh yeah, no,
they come legal.
They overstay their visas. We have to. That's fixing the system. They need to hire more people. They need
so we can build that wall as big as we want and spend billions of dollars building a wall, but
it's not the total solution.
That's not where they're coming.
Yeah, it's not the total solution, but it is. You know what I mean? Folks are coming from the south.
We have 4 seconds. How did you grade it the first year?
I would say, what, an ABC?
Yeah.
I'd say a B.
Fair enough. And we'll be back next week for one more show. John, thank you again.
Thank you. What was your grade? What was your grade, real quick, before we end out?
I will give him the same C that I gave him before.
All right. Well, that's better than enough.
Not Phil. You still have a chance. Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a good night.